Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. Out here doing a little sandbar action with the family, a little exploring. And I thought I'd shoot a video for you regarding buzzbaits. You know, a buzzbait is a bait that is excellent this time of year. Anytime the fish are in spawn, finishing up the spawn and moving into the summer months, they are excellent baits for generating reaction strikes, as well as just allowing you to cover a bunch of water. And I've gotten a lot of questions recently, especially because I mentioned a buzzbait in the video the other day where you can tune your buzzbait to go right and left. And I thought I'd talk about that a little bit because I think a lot of people don't understand how important the blade direction is and how important or how you can determine which direction your buzzbait's going to run based on the blade. So in this case, I've got here 3 different buzzbaits. And I've got, let's start with the Picasso Rusty Squeaker. So if I hold this straight on for you, what you'll see is the fold in the leaf is turning to the right, okay? So that in that instance, it's actually counterclockwise. And then I've got here a Honey Buzz. In the Honey Buzz, the blade fold is the other way. It's actually clockwise. So if I show you both of them, let me do that without getting everything tangled up. If I show you both of these side by side, what you'll see is the cupping, if I can hold this, the cupping is opposite. So one folds this way, the other folds that way. Now all you need to know with respect to that cupping is that's going to determine what direction the bait wants to track in the water. So if you've got, it's always going to grab and pull in that direction. So in this case, when I cast out, say, this Rusty Squeaker, when I'm retrieving it at me, it's going to want to run to my left. So if I take the Rusty Squeaker and I cast this out towards cover, what you're going to see is it's going to track to my left as I'm reeling. It's going to swim into that cover. Like I'm not doing anything, and that bait is just trying to grab to the right. As it's coming at me, the bait's right, my left. That's really important to know because when you're fishing, you want to have your bait running into the object. So you want it running as tight to the cover as possible. Now in this case, if I were to put on, say, the Honey Buzz for that cast specifically, what's going to happen is that bait's going to track away from the cover. That's not what I want at all. So for me, if I'm out and I'm in a day full of fishing with buzzbaits, I'm actually going to have one bait that tracks to the left and one bait that tracks to the right. Now, if you don't like that at all, that's where your double buzz come into play. Double buzz baits are the only buzz baits that'll actually run true. And the reason for that is you can see the blades counter spin on their own right. So they're separate. So they're actually fighting against each other and keeping that bait running true. So I'm going to tie this on quick and just show you how this will run true compared to the bait that's going to actually pull to my left. So now I've got the double buzz on, and I just want to show you that this will track true. So if I throw this out, I want that bait to pull towards the objects, but it's not. It's just coming straight in, and that's because the blades are definitely counteracting itself. Now, a lot of people would say, well, why not just always throw a double buzz bait? Well, there's a couple reasons it's not necessarily my first choice. And the reality is because I actually want my bait to track into the objects. Having that ability allows you to actually counteract for a bad cast or a cast that's not necessarily made on the target. I would rather start my bait maybe a foot off the object, allow my bait to track into it versus having to land my bait right on the object. That's a harder cast to make. You'll end up getting snagged more often than not. So from that standpoint, I really do like having the ability to have my bait run left or right and clink into the objects as it's running. The other thing is I find that the double buzz baits are a little bit harder to cast. They're a bigger, bulkier bait. They tend to grab the wind more, and I just don't think they cast as accurately. And you can't skip them nearly as good because you've got bigger appendages that are off to the side. Now, having said that, I still absolutely love a double buzz bait too. You know, if I'm fishing areas where there's a lot of, say, pads or a lot of stumps and I'm trying to cover a lot of water and I'm not necessarily trying to make super accurate casts where I'm skipping the buzzbait up under docks around laydowns, the double buzzbait's really good for that. I also really like them around the springtime when you've got a lot of fish that are protecting fry and kind of up chasing bluegill. I think the small blades, these are actually like 1/8 ounce blades. these do a much better job of just creating sputter on the surface instead of making a big noisy difference. Now, if you want your bait to run left or right, there are some things that you can do to counteract the blades. So if I go back to, say, the old honey buzz in this case, if I have this bait running, it's going to track to the bait's left. Now, you can do a couple of things. You can actually bend the blades out a little bit and lessen the cup. That will allow the bait not to track as hard to the direction that it's going. I don't necessarily recommend just taking one and bending it completely over. You can do that, but the more times you go back and forth, you're eventually going to break that right off. But you absolutely could take a pair of needle nose and bend it over if you want the bait to run different. And that is something that I'll end up doing if I've got a specific buzzbait that I like to use. The problem is, a lot of times manufacturers don't give you the ability to buy counterclockwise versus clockwise blades. So I'll buy two, I'll take one, and I'll actually flop the blades over to get a bait that runs opposite, but it's still the same bait as the one that I purchased. Now, lastly, you can choose to use trailers that are a little bit bulkier, and if you offset them to the opposite side that the bait's going to pull, it will actually help counteract that pull and get your bait to run straight too. So say you like to put maybe a horny toad on the back, I'll actually offset that to the opposite side to move more mass to the opposite side of the hook, and I'll actually you can cock them a little bit to the side where they're actually harder. It's actually creating tension on the bait, trying to pull that big, bulkier, soft plastic in the direction that the blades are going. So you can use your trailer to offset that. It's a real simple little tip where if you're out buzzbait fishing all day and you only have one rod, you can easily counter offset the pull of the blades with your trailer choice. If you're out all day long and you're able to have a couple of rods, I say choose one where you've got a counterclockwise and clockwise roding blade, and you can just cover a ton of water and pick up the one that you need based on the objects that you're fishing while you're going down the bank. Simple little tips, but I'm telling you, these will make you a much better buzzbait fisherman and get you more fish in the boat. So thanks for watching, everyone. Hopefully this helps you out next time you're on the water, you catch a few extra fish. If you enjoyed today's video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and stay tuned. We'll have a new one coming out tomorrow. I'm getting back to the sand barn.